What is an unbelievable true fact? NASA was sued for trespassing on Mars. I need to know more. Search on wiki extraterrestrial_estate. I'm 99% sure that an alien hacked someone's brain to establish this program to limit space exploration and greater conceal alien life forms. When you get a kidney transplant, they usually just leave your original kidneys in your body and put the third kidney in your pelvis. Martin and Gary Kemp from Spandia Ballet. Gary was born with only one kidney. He developed a condition which caused his kidney to fail. His younger brother Martin agreed to be a donor, and it turned out on the scan that Martin had been born with 3 kidneys. The most amazing fact I heard of this week is that Saturn's moon Titan has riverine valleys like Earth, except they are formed by flowing liquid methane. Of course, it also rains methane, but the drops are twice as large as rain on Earth and fall at a fifth of the speed. It also has volcanoes that spew a magma that is water and ammonia, and at -100°C has the same viscosity as molten rock. The greater honey guide is a bird that drops its eggs into other birds' nests. When born, the chick has 2 teeth at the end of its beak. It then uses that beak to destroy the other eggs/kill the other birds in the nest. So the mama bird returns to a war zone nest and basically has to raise the chick that slaughtered its babies. It loses the teeth like 2 days after being born. Birds are savage. It is possible for a professional mimic to forget his voice. This happened to a kid I knew in middle school in the 90s when Beavis and Butthead was popular. He got into the Beavis voice and stayed there for a long time. Even in classes and formal settings like that, his voice was still Beavis trying to imitate a normal voice. It was sad and disconcerting. I feel like a D, but that's hilarious. Yoda and Miss Piggy were both voiced by the same person. I refuse to believe this. Yes, his name is Frank Oz. He's done a lot of Muppet voices. Each cell has about 2 meters of DNA and you have about 75 to 100 trillion cells in your body. If you took all the DNA in your body, uncoiled it, and lined it up, it would reach the sun and back 300 times. So, if you were trapped in a tower, you could pull some out, braid a rope out of it, and climb down. Better than waiting for your hair to grow, but you'll be missing a few chromosomes when you reach the ground. Penguins do have knees. Penguin skeletons are terrifying. Australia exports sand and camels to the Middle East. Also, we are running out of sand. Everywhere is running out of sand. Only particular kinds of sand are suitable for making concrete out of, and sand is a huge component of concrete, which in turn is a huge component of basically every piece of infrastructure and building. Folks are going to have to figure out ways of turning desert sand into river sand, or find alternative ways of making concrete. It's not just a problem for concrete. Fiber optic glass also needs high quality sand. There used to be a flying reptile that was as tall as a giraffe, the Quetzalcoatlus. In the early 1900s, a wave of molasses rushed through the streets of Boston at 35 miles per hour, killing 21 people. For decades later, locals said on hot summer days they could still smell molasses in the air. 20 years ago, I had a freezer full of shrimp in a room above my garage. My son and his friends were playing pool up there on a hot summer day and unplugged the freezer to plug in a fan and left it that way. A couple of weeks later, I was working on something in the garage and something vile dripped on my shoulder. On a humid day, I'll open the door and I can still smell the horror of the day that I had to remove 40 pounds of liquid shrimp from a freezer on a 98-degree day. Fucking hell, that much shrimp. Open bracket. If you are 25 years old, APX 1/3 of all the humans that were alive at your birth have died. You've made me sad. There is more fresh water contained in Loch Ness than in all rivers and lakes in England and Wales combined. It also has more monsters in it than all the lakes in England and Wales combined. I went to Loch Ness after a distillery tour. Can confirm. Tons of monsters hanging about. About 40,000 Americans are injured by toilets each year. Take that. Vending machines. Paid toilets must be especially deadly. More people have been on the moon than people have won Takeshi's Castle. There are people who won in Takeshi's Castle. A day on Mercury is longer than a year on Mercury. The time it takes to see a full cycle of sunrises is 176 Earth days. The time it takes to orbit the sun is about half that. That's because it's tidally locked to the sun though. Venus is cooler because its day is so slow you can outpace it by walking. And it rotates backwards compared to every other planet. The measles virus actually causes immunity amnesia, meaning your immune system has to relearn how to fight off viruses and bacteria you were previously immune to. Measles wipes out 73% of the antibodies your body uses to protect against viruses and bacteria. This can last for up to 2 to 3 years. One of the most amazing facts that highlights the importance of the measles vaccine. That truly is an amazing and relevant fact. I wish I could upvote it more. The Stegosaurus was as old to the Tyrannosaurus as the T-Rex is to us. Dinosaurs lived for a long time. Weird that they were removed from the game before we started playing. Yeah, that class was op, so they patched it out in the Astrophysics DLC. Trees have such intricate root systems that a tree low on one particular type of nutrient will acquire some from his neighbors and make up for it later. This is especially prevalent during the winter months when some trees don't have leaves and so need extra help from their evergreen friends. It's not the roots that can communicate with neighboring plants, but the mycorrhizae, symbiotic fungus that connects to the roots. For some plants, it increases the ability of roots to take up nutrients by up to 50 times and can form networks for plants of different species to share nutrients. 2. These mycorrhizal networks can stretch for miles and are a near equivalent to a neural network of the soil. This is amazing. God, I love trees. One of the youngest person diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease was 31 years old and pregnant. She died less than 2 years after giving birth. And she is not the youngest case in the world. You can find cases of people getting diagnosed in their mid-late 20s. Very rare, but it happens. Oldest woman to have gotten pregnant naturally and delivered was 59 years old. She got pregnant by surprise thinking she might have cancer. The youngest one was 5 years old. I have questions that I don't think I want to know the answer to in relationship to a pregnant 5-year-old. WTF. It's presumed that it was her dad, but there was not enough proof and DNA tests were not a thing back then. She never confirmed that it was her father though. Kangaroos have 3 vaginas. I feel like a fake Australian not knowing this. All is well. It would take me so long to learn to read upside down, so you've got a leg up on us Americans. Camels evolved in the Americas and migrated opposite humans across the land bridge. Their relatives are still here in the form of llamas and alpacas. If you wound spider silk into a rope as thick as a pencil, it would be strong enough to hold a private jet in place. That gives me an idea. What if we made ropes out of spider silk and use them to fight crime and swing throughout urban cities? Sounds like a good idea, but we'd probably need a small device on our wrist in order to shoot the material, and we should use a blue and red costume, so we will camouflage in the city better. Someone should make a franchise out of these ideas. Humans have such an aggressive and hormonal society that the females often grow pseudopenis. What exactly is a pseudopenis? Asking for a friend. A neutron star is so dense that a matchbox-sized portion of one would weigh 3 billion tons. That asphalt, bitumen, is actually in a constant liquid state, so you are driving on a surface that has a viscosity level 1000x more than that of honey. At least one person has stayed in space, ice, since November 2000, making October 31st the last date all of humanity was on the Earth together. Wow. The Japanese performed surgical experiments on live humans with no painkillers, as well as intentionally spreading disease and famine, and the US gave them a free pass in exchange of gaining data on these experiments before the Russians. Dark part of history that we chose to ignore, unfortunately. Source: Unit 731. I highly recommend not reading into this one. Just take Ops synopsis and assume the worst. Hint: it is like worse than you are imagining. I have a pretty strong stomach, but it wasn't a pleasant read. If anyone is reading this, now you have 2 people saying don't read it.